city. Let us enjoy the air quality of the city of Baguio and at the same time, the hospitality of the people of Baguio. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Mayor Benjamin Magalong. We move on to an equally dynamic public servant. Allow me to introduce him. He's the 36th Secretary of the National Defense. With more than 4 decades of serving the nation in defense and foreign relations, the Secretary has made significant contributions in both his military and diplomatic careers. A special presidential representative for Veterans Affairs at the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. from 2004 to 2015, he rallied for the cause of Filipino veterans, implementing the Philippine campaign to obtain veterans benefits for our soldiers who served in the U.S. Army in the Second World War. One of his notable contributions to the cause of Filipino war veterans is his role in lobbying for the passage of the Filipino Veterans Equity Compensation, which awarded $265 million to surviving World War II veterans. He also helped secure from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs grants in aid for the Veterans Memorial Medical Center, totaling $12 million over the span of 12 years, upgrading the hospital's diagnostic capability and improving the quality of services to Filipino veterans and their beneficiary. So, let's put our hands together. Bigyan natin ng masigabong palakpakan the chairperson of the National Task Force COVID-19, Secretary of Department of National Defense. We have Secretary Delphine Lorenzana.
Thank you. Thank you. Nimbag na malami amin na po. Mayor Benji, Secretary Vince, Congressman Mark Go, Asik Halosos, and other public officials who are here today. Good afternoon. We are going around the country, yung team namin, nila, yung code team na sinasabi yung alagay dyan, trying to propagate some of the best practices of the other places. The other day, we were in General Santos City with Secretary Vince at si Mayor Benji. Kasi tumataas na rin yung kanilang ano doon. May mga spike but not very significant. But we'd like it to nip it on the bud. Bago pa lang, mag-umpisa pa lang, patayin na natin yung COVID. Now, before I continue, I would like to commend the officials and residents of Baguio City, led by, of course, your mayor, for successfully fighting the COVID. Kayo rito ang ginagawa naming huwaran or model of all others. Palagi naman sinasabi yan, why if Baguio can do it, why can't you do it? And so, as we go around, we try to find out ano ba yung mga practices nila na ginagawa. And we found out that some of the things that you have been strictly and religiously enforcing here, hindi nila ginagawa. Cebu, for instance, Bacolod, Iloilo, yung mga nag-spike. You can see the areas, or Laguna, you can see the areas na tumaas nung mag-ease up tayo yung July 1st, are the people who pinabayaan, just as from top to bottom, leadership from the top to bottom, they don't care. They will only alarm when it becomes uncontrollable. Mabuti siguro, naging ganun ang sitwasyon, otherwise they will not be jolted from their complacency and comfort. And so, today, regional naman ito, so nandito lahat yung mga ibang representatives sa mga region. So, let's listen to the presentations, and before I close, siguro, mukhang pinag-iisipan ni Mayor kung paano i-open up yung economy rito. Yung mga hotel, yung mga restaurants, yung mga hotels, it's about time. If we just put our hands together, wala itong COVID na to. This is easily defeated. Takot na takot tayo nung una kasi hindi natin alam kung anong characteristics na itong COVID virus na to. Found out that very small lang ang namamatay naman pala eh. Mas marami pa namamatay sa pneumonia at saka diabetes, saka heart attack. Maybe 10, 20 times more. Hindi naman tayo takot doon sa mga sakit na yun. Why are we so afraid? So it's about time siguro to loosen up little by little for as long as we follow these health protocols. Yung face mask, face shield, kung kailangan, hand washing, sanitizing, and then avoid closed areas with so many people. Yung closed areas with aircon, yun ang number one eh. And studies shows from all over the world that the transmission in transportation, yung mga public transport, is very small. Very small. Kasi nga, hindi naman nag-uusap na ngayon eh. Naka-face mask, naka-face shield. Just keep to themselves. Ano nag-uusap dyan? It is in areas where people speak to each other, yun ang delikado. While eating, while smoking, while sa conferences, kasi ano yung kanilang boses malalakas eh. And any other gatherings that requires talking. So, thank you very much for having us here. It's good to be back in Baguio and enjoy the weather. Kaya lang, medyo wala masyadong tao. It's parang nakakaano kami na may ikawa kami. Nilocano pa may ikawa kami dito eh. No? Awang tao unay. Sige, thank you very much for listening. Yeah.
Maraming salamat, Secretary Delphine Negrillo Lorenzana. Before we move on, we would like to inform everyone we're on live stream on various PCOO platforms, PCOO, RTBM People's Television, PIA, and live over DCEQ Radio ng Bayan. Moving on, the code team has been going around the country to help local government units find strategies to lessen or eliminate local transmission of the virus. We start our meeting today with an overview of the situation here in the Cordillera. We have the Regional Director of the Department of Health, Dr. Ruby Constantino, for the COVID-19 surveillance updates. Bigyan po natin siya ng masigabong palakpakan.
Secretary Lorenzana, Secretary Dizon, other distinguished members of the Code team, Congressman Mark Go, Mayor. As of 6 p.m. of September 18, 2020, the region recorded a total of 1,040 confirmed cases. 14 deaths were reported with a case fatality rate of 1.35%. There were 851 recoveries or 82% recovery rate and 173 active cases. As to health classification of the cases, 603 or 56% were seen as asymptomatic, 406 or 41% were mild, 6 were moderate, 11 were severe, and 14 were critical cases. There were 27 new cases added from September 17, 2020 cases. Based on fasting here, the case doubling time is 20.90 days. The age group mostly affected are the working group 20 to 39 years old and mostly males at 52%. This slide shows the distribution of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the region from the start of the ECQ. On April 19 to 25, we had the first clustering of cases in hospital, followed by decrease of cases. Then on May 31 to June 6, the region started the implementation of expanded risk-based testing, and the region was placed on MGCQ. On July 19 to 25, increasing COVID-19 cases were noted, with a peak on August 9 to 15, which continued until August 23 to 29. During this period, we had clustering of cases in the workplace and in the community. Where were these clustering of cases? First, let us start from one of the notable clustering of cases we had in the region. This involved about 59 cases, mostly pastors and members of a religious group. Accordingly, cases M, D, and A, which is at the middle of the screen, had frequent travel history to and from Kalinga and Isabela, Region 2, from June to July. On July 26, cases M, D, and A went to Tabok City, Kalinga, to attend a church service gathering with more than 50 participants and went back to Isabela thereafter. On July 28, cases M, D, A, and G traveled back to Baguio City, where they held a short church service. On July 29, case M, which is the index case, sought consult at the hospital due to fever and body weakness. It tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, hence, contact tracing activities were done in Tabok City, Kalinga, Baguio City, and La Trinidad, Benguet. Most of the participants of the church service in Tabok City, including some of their close contacts, were found positive. There were also close contacts in Baguio City who tested positive for SARS-CoV-2. Another was the clustering of cases in the workplace and household setting. It all started when cases MB, the lower part of the screen, BC, and DB, who work in the same office, had a drinking spree. During the drinking spree, case MB was not feeling well already. After a few days, case MB sought consult and tested positive for SARS-CoV-2. 5 of his close contacts, we have 2 household members and then JBP, who is a co-worker, including BC and DB, were also positive. All the household members of cases BC and DB tested positive also for SARS-CoV-2. Next is the clustering of uniformed personnel identifying Camp Dangwa as their common place of exposure. This was composed of several clusters. Cases started to appear after the conduct of a 3-day seminar, including PDEA and PNP officers from Baguio City, Abra, and Benguet. That is at the upper part of the slide. On the 3rd day of activity, the venue was transferred to Camp Dangwa. On the next day, some of the participants reported experiencing mild fever and or cough. However, cases still went to work and did their regular routine. Some of them traveled to other provinces, Abra and Kalinga, because of work or new assignment. They eventually were tested positive, like the Abra cases. Also, close contacts of some cases were tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, which are the yellow PNP in the slide, then infecting some of his workmates too. Some of them were identified to have recent travel history from nearby regions. Another was the group of PNP trainees, that's on the right side of the screen. Though they identified Camp Dangwa as their place of exposure, the lodging arrangement of the trainees was seen as the contributory factor in the increase of cases among trainees. Most of the trainees came from other provinces and the duration of their activity was longer than 1 or 2 weeks. They formed a group and rented the house to be more economical. Overcrowding in one room was noted as some trainees, as such as 7 individuals lived together in a dorm-type housing. Hence, physical distancing became a challenge. Further, there were confirmed PNP personnel coming from NCR who were isolated in Camp Dangwa during that time. Another big clustering of cases noted was the clusters from the economic sector, affecting mostly establishment along Session Road, Baguio City, and Mabini Street. It involved banks and supermarkets. Most cases were noted among bank drivers, messengers, security guards, and merchandisers of supermarkets. Accordingly, some cases were reported to be traveling in a nearby region, going home on a daily basis. This cluster was also connected with the clustering of cases in La Trinidad, Benguet. During the contact tracing activity, it was found out that one security guard of a certain bank attended birthday party in La Trinidad. 12 of his close contacts turned positive. Clusters of cases were also noted among household members of those who were home isolated. This can possibly be attributed to the non-observance of the minimum public health standards among cases and household members. And lastly, clusters of cases were noted in different hospital settings that can possibly be attributed to non-observance of infection prevention control protocols among the healthcare workers or non-practice of the minimum health standards among the patients. With the clustering of cases shown above, we summarize our findings as follows. Some upwards were noted to have travel history outside the region and did not undergo proper quarantine procedures, evidenced by the case of pastors coming from Region 2, coming to the city and were able to hold a church service. Some bank employees going home to La Union on a daily basis. Uniformed personnel coming from other regions, provinces, and will report the next day after travel. Protocols for symptomatic personnel are not being strictly followed, as evidenced by some employees with symptoms who still report for duty. Non-conducive lodging arrangement, hence physical distancing, becomes a challenge, as evidenced by overcrowding in one room by some PNP trainees, as such as 7 individuals live together in a dorm-type housing. Non-observance of the minimum health standards, such as non-wearing of masks, physical distancing, or hand washing, especially during birthday parties and drinking spree. The affected sectors in the region were mostly the essential sectors, composed of the healthcare workers, uniformed men, the vegetable dealers, and others, followed by the general public, the LSIs, the OFWs, and the person deprived of liberty. Of the 1,040 confirmed cases, majority of 48% is from Baguio City, and next is from Benguet with 23%. For the number of affected municipalities and barangays in the region, 76% or 58 out of 76 municipalities have COVID-19 cases, and 27% or 309 out of 1,175 barangays have COVID-19 cases. For suspect cases, a total of 13,829 cases were reported, with majority, again 40% from Baguio City and 34% from Benguet. No probable case was reported. As of September 18, 2020, there are 1,236 or 2% still completing their 14 days quarantine out of the 70,608 possible cases recorded. Let me proceed to the region's PDITR strategy, starting with prevention. For prevention, DOH posted social media cards, press releases, advisories, and infomercials on the agency's official FB page. Daily updated information are being provided to media partners, outlets such as the PIA CAR, PTV Cordillera, newspapers, and TV stations. Kapihan sa Baguio is being conducted twice a month. The briefing is streamed through Facebook Live using PIA Cordillera FB page hosted by DOH Safety Car. Panelists from other provinces or agencies were invited online through teleconference using Cisco WebEx application to comply with IPC protocols and to avoid unnecessary exposure that may lead to contacting the COVID-19 virus. For our social media page, we have 29,487 followers as of September 17, 2020. Our post has reached 103,673 likes for the past 28 days and 13,182 views in the past 28 days. There is daily posting of COVID-19 regional case bulletin reflecting updates as of 6 p.m. Data posted include current number of cases, recoveries, deaths, suspect cases, and possible cases. Different IEC materials for COVID-19 were developed for the 32 million plus worth of PPEs and other consumables from DOH Central Office and CHDCAR was given to the different LGUs in the region. These logistics were also allocated to line agencies and other offices in the region, either directly from Central Office or from the region based on request. And this totaled to 30.7 million worth of PPEs and consumables. For the next strategy, detection of cases, for the percentage of contact tracers oriented or trained with a target of 95%, all the provinces and Baguio City reached the target except the province of Ifugao with only 92.23%. The region reached 97.53%. As per DILG monitoring report, we have a total of 331 contact tracing teams organized in the region. These teams are composed of 3,711 members. With a target of 1 trained contact tracer is to 800 population, the region reached the target with 1 is to 487 population. For our laboratory testing capacity, the region has 2 molecular laboratories, namely BGHMC, a government laboratory, and Parkway, which is a private lab. BGHMC has a turnaround time of 48 to 72 hours and has a testing capacity of 1,000 daily, while Parkway has a 28 to 48 hours turnaround. As of September 18, 2020, a total of 18,378 tests had been conducted, including specimens from regions 1 and 2, and 99,095 individuals were tested. As of September 18, 2020, out of the 1,827,998 population of the region, 4.5% or 83,001 individuals were tested, and out of the 83,001 individuals tested, 1,040 were positive with 1.3% positivity rate. For the third strategy, isolation of cases, the region has a total of 29 established temporary treatment and monitoring facilities with 621 isolation beds for the following provinces: Benguet, Kalinga, Baguio City, Abra, and Apayao. 2 of our provinces, Ifugao and Mountain Province, are establishing their TTMFs. Our goal is to achieve the minimum health system capacity requirement of 1 community isolation bed is to 2,500 population, which at present, the region, we have 1 bed is to 1 is to 2,916 population, placing the region at moderate risk. Out of the 29 TTMFs established, 7 are certified, and 3 are field health accredited. As of September 18, 87 cases are admitted in the TTMFs. So we have 75 confirmed cases, 9 suspect cases, and 3 step-down cases. Here in this slide is the TTMF occupancy rate per province or city. So we can see that Apayao and Baguio City are already in the warning zone, and data as of September 18, 2020 shows a 14% occupancy rate with a total of 87 admissions. For the fourth strategy, treatment, the region has a total bed capacity of 549 dedicated to COVID-19 cases, 346 or 63% isolation beds, 160 beds or 29 ward beds, and 43 or 8% ICU bed. As of September 18, the critical care utilization rate is 42.20%. All level 2 and 3 hospitals in the region have their surge capacity management, which includes surge capacity checklist, hospital preparedness and response checklist, surge capacity plan, and health emergency incident command system. So these are all level 2 and 3 hospitals in the region. For the fifth strategy, which is reintegration, mental health and psychosocial support activities for COVID-19 are being conducted. As of September 17, 2020, we have catered to 198 clients. For the webinars conducted, a total of 84 participants have attended. Those activities were conducted in different modalities, including phone call, through Facebook or Messenger, video teleconference, in-person counseling, or a combination of these methods. The most common modality is through phone call. Cordillera, we act as one, we heal as one. Thank you and good afternoon.
Maraming salamat, Director Ruby Constantino. Now we move on to the next part about the Cordillera Regional Task Force Briefer. I call on the chairperson of the CAR Regional Task Force and Regional Director of the Office of Civil Defense Cordillera, Director Albert Mogol.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, to our distinguished chairperson of the National Task Force. Sir, magandang umaga po. And to all the code team who are present. At this juncture, sir, we'll be presenting to you the accomplishment report of the Cordillera Regional Task Force in addressing our concern in COVID-19. So with your indulgence, sir, allow me to transfer to my Chief for Operations, Ferdinand Tamulto, to present the update. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. So good afternoon, everyone. And I have the honor to present to you the consolidated work of the members of our Regional Task Force for COVID-19 in managing the consequences of this pandemic in the Cordillera Administrative Region. The presentation is divided into 3 parts. First, I'll discuss our accomplishments and updates, and some issues and concerns, as well as our recommendations and other matters. To start with the updates, first we have an update from our Department of Social Welfare and Development in the region with regards to the provision of social amelioration program to the different provinces and municipalities in the region. And as of their latest report, given to the Regional Task Force, a total of 109,472 families have been served in the Cordillera region, or a total of 96.30% of the target. This is for the second tranche of our second tranche of the SAP program, which is for Baguio City and Benguet. For the first tranche, the Cordillera Administrative Region has actually is among those first regions in the Philippines to complete the distribution of the social amelioration program for the first tranche. For this, for the update on the management of our locally stranded individuals in the region, so far almost all our LSIs in the region have been assisted in through our different provinces, and so far a total of 4,923 LSIs has been completed, and there are still 5 ongoing coordination activities to different provinces outside CAR for the acceptance of these locally stranded individuals. And these LSIs are managed and coordinated through the different provinces of the Cordillera using the different operational plans that they have approved for the management of these LSIs. For instance, for Baguio City, we are using the returning Baguio residents as our main protocol used for the management of our LSIs. And so with other provinces of the region, they have their respective operational plans that are currently in use. For the contact tracing status, also as reported earlier by the Department of Health, the total members that we have in the Cordillera now, based on the latest report of DILG, is 3,805 members, or a total of 331 contact tracing teams. And out of those 3,805 members, a total of 3,711 have been provided with capacity building initiative for them to effectively engage in contact tracing activities here in the Cordillera. And the DILG is continuously conducting hiring activities to hire additional contact tracers that will be deployed in the different provinces of the Cordillera. For our law and order cluster, which is under the leadership of the Police Regional Office of the Cordillera, based on their latest report, a total of 164 quarantine control points are still active in various border control points in the region, wherein a total of 1,515 personnel are deployed to man these quarantine control points set up by our law and order personnel. And in addition, based on their latest report, a total of 2,892 curfew violators were also apprehended or were given warning, fined, and arrested in the different parts of the region. For our assistance provided to our ROFs or to our OFWs returning here in the Cordillera Administrative Region, based on the latest report given to us by the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration in the region, a total of 3,719 OFWs have been assisted and facilitated and provided with the necessary help here in the Cordillera region. And most of these ROFs were from Baguio City and from the province of Benguet. With regards to the repatriation of human remains of OFWs who died abroad and are residents of the Cordillera Administrative Region, there are a total of 8 OFWs repatriated through the assistance of OWACAR and, of course, with the assistance of the ILG CAR as the head of our management of the dead cluster here in the region. And 5 are still pending, and we are still waiting for the clearance and for the next flight of our sweeper flights coming from the countries affected for the repatriation of these human remains. And of course, for other OFWs who have returned here in the Cordillera region, OWACAR and other member agencies of our clusters such as TESDA are continuously coordinating with these ROFs for the provision of livelihood opportunities in the Cordillera. For our economic cluster, under the leadership of the National Economic and Development Authority Cordillera, of the total 24,716 MSMEs that are registered in the region, as of September 11, a total of 7,410 MSMEs are now back in normal operation, while around 14,000 are still operating but with a limited capacity, and still 3,000 MSMEs are close to operation due to several restrictions in our health standards. Most of these MSMEs are located also in Baguio City, Benguet, and the province of Abra. Likewise, among the initiatives of the Cordillera region, at the start of our COVID-19 and community quarantine activities, we have been conducting rolling stores participated by different MSMEs and grocery stores that we have here in Baguio City and Benguet and other parts of the region. And based on the latest report provided to us by the Department of Trade and Industry, these rolling stores have already generated a total sales amounting to 142.63 million. And these are participated by around 209 runs or activities have been conducted through these rolling stores, covering around 1,087 barangays and 571,000 beneficiaries. For the COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program under our Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, a total of 25,734 workers have been assisted with a total disbursement of 128,670,000. And again, most of those assisted are in the provinces of Benguet and the city of Baguio. For the tulong panghanap buhay sa ating disadvantaged or displaced workers, also under the leadership of DOLE Cordillera, a total of 51,162,000 has been disbursed as well to the different beneficiaries that we have here in the Cordillera Administrative Region. For our food security cluster under the Department of Agriculture, specifically under their Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita program, this has been in run since March and April 2020 until now. And the total sales generated through this program is now at 24.8 million, and a total of 884 metric tons of different goods have been provided through this Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita program of DA Cordillera. Likewise, for our rice farmers financial assistance, DA CAR is continuously providing financial assistance to our farmers. And the distribution is done through the Land Bank of the Philippines. And as of today, a total of 53% of the target beneficiaries have been provided with this financial assistance, and they are continuously working to complete the distribution of this financial assistance. For the expanded survival and recovery aid, also under our food and security cluster, a total of around 92% of our farmers, or target farmers, have been served, or about 8,924. And we have already released around 222.5 million to these different farmers that we have in the region. For our education cluster, particularly on our readiness to, as we adjust to the new normal in delivering learning modalities in the region, a total of 398,880 enrollees were reported in the Cordillera region. And in relation to the readiness of the different provinces and schools division in the region for the preparation of their classes, nasa advanced stage na po sila. And for the learning modality, iba-iba po yung learning modality that we will be using for the different provinces depending on their capacity and of course depending on their existing resources that they have in their schools and in their schools division. For the utilization of our Bayanihan grant to our PCMs, provinces, cities, and municipalities, based on the latest report provided to us by the Bureau of Local Government Finance in the region, a total of 1.1 billion ang total allocation that we received through the Bayanihan grant. And from that 1.1 billion, 83% na po ang total na obligation, or around 958 million rather. And ang total disbursement so far is nasa 65.13% or 745 million. That is for the Bayanihan grant was given to our provinces, cities, and municipalities. Whereas for the status of the Local Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund utilization, the total LDRI fund